Hello and welcome back to Off the Post. In today's episode, I'll be discussing how Kroupi crushed Man United's top four chances in a game against Bournemouth. But before that, as always, please like, comment, and subscribe. It's very much appreciated, and it goes a long way helping me build a small community on my channel. We've recently just hit 262 subscribers. I just want to say a massive thank you, and if we can go and get 300 subscribers, I'll be absolutely over the moon. I'll be buzzing, and yeah, I'll be so happy. Anyways, let's get straight into the business, shall we? Let's talk about this game. An 8-goal thriller, 4-4, Manchester United versus Bournemouth. Goals galore in this game. I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. There was goals every other minute. Okay, I'm pretty sure, wasn't there? Honestly, don't get me wrong. Manchester United started the better of the two sides, and overall, you probably look at the possession stats, you look at the shots in total as well, and you would say Manchester United are more than deserving of actually potentially winning the game. However, Bournemouth did absolutely amazingly well to come back and actually, get those goals and sort of, score the equalisers if you like. But anyways, let's just talk about the first goal of the game from Amad Diallo. Okay, he scored the first goal on the 13th minute. Okay, bit of a nice delivery in the box. Obviously, I think Cunha went up for the header, and then there was a little bit of a mismatch sort of miscommunication between the Bournemouth goalkeeper and the defenders, and then it sort of just rolls to Amal Diallo in the air where he just heads it home from 2 meters away or 2 feet away from the goal or whatever. I don't even know how you describe that, but easiest chance Diallo probably has. It was probably the easiest chance Amid Diallo would probably have in his whole career. Okay, anyways, straight after that, Manchester United had a half an hour spell where They were dominating the game. Brian and Bremer had a few chances here and there. There was that one chance, nice little cross over the top. I think it might have been Cunha who crossed it in to Brian and Bremo. He sort of did like a nice little scissor kick, sort of bicycle kick, sort of. Well, I think it was more of a scissor kick, really, wasn't it? He did a nice little scissor kick, right? And his shot just went over the bar. He just couldn't get it on target, unfortunately for him. But that could have been goal of the season contender right there. Reminded me very of Robin van Persie-esque against Aston Villa back in the day of Sir Alex Ferguson. Even though he didn't score at least anyways. But anyways, okay, let's talk about the equaliser through Antonio Semenyo. Of course, it was going to be him, the main player for Bournemouth. When Bournemouth needed a goal, Semenyo would be the one scoring it, wouldn't he? Scored on the 40th minute, he scored the equaliser, and again, it was probably it was a very nice attacking play. Nice little pass down the right hand side from Antonio Semenyo. He runs into the box, and he just smashes it far post, okay, and the goalkeeper Lemons couldn't do anything about it. You know what I mean? Absolutely just drilled it into the bottom corner. Semenyo did, didn't he? And he was causing that Manchester United defence so many problems in this game, and he was one of the main reasons why Bournemouth, scored equaliser after equaliser after equaliser, and how Bournemouth sort of took the lead when it went to 3-2 as well. I'm pretty sure at this point, I'm not gonna lie, there was so many goals. I lost track of the goal scorers and whatnot. This is probably the most craziest games I've watched this season. It honestly has to go down to be an absolutely amazing game of the season. Honestly, this is going to go down in the Premier League years. Okay, you remember people watching Premier League years on Sky Sports back in the day. Honestly, this is one to remember. Okay, it was 1-1. Okay, but going into half time, uh, Ruben Amorim, probably thinking to himself, probably a little bit disappointed that his team have not really scored that many goals. They could probably be like 2-1 up at this point. But however, that's exactly what happened, okay? Because Casemiro scored a header from a corner in the 45th minute, okay? So that's pretty good for Ruben Amorim to go in at half time, potentially change up his team talk as well. He probably went into half time thinking it might be 1-1. Probably Manchester United probably were the more dominant side, probably were more deserving of the lead, and that's exactly what happened. So for me, when you think about this game, it's actually just crazy because in the 46th minute, okay, Bournemouth's Brazilian striker Evan Elisson has broke his goal scoring drought, and he scored the equaliser in the 46th minute, 1 minute after half time. Okay, 1 minute after Casemiro scored in the second half. Okay, in the first half. Sorry, you know what I mean. Evan Elisson hasn't performed that well this season, has he? He hasn't really scored that many goals. He's not really been that main goal threat like he was last season, at least anyway, to Bournemouth. And you got to think to yourself, that goal drought this goal will do the world of good to sort of end that goal drought because you know what I mean. Don't get me wrong, he's a fantastic, hold up player. He's a fantastic, to link up between the midfielders and the attackers and the wingers and whatnot. He's so good at like, getting other players into the game, if you like. But for this season, he's just not been scoring that many goals, and to get that goal to make it 2-2, absolutely brilliant scenes from the Brazilian striker there. And then as soon as it got to 2-2, Bournemouth were looking like they were going to take the advantage, and they were looking like the better side, weren't they? Bournemouth, honestly, you can't rule them out against anybody in the Premier League this season and last season. The whole team is fantastic, even though they didn't have that much possession. They only had 44% possession, even though they only had 12 shots on total. They were looking so promising on the counter attack, and that's exactly what happened. Because in the 52nd minute, okay, you know what I mean. Marcus Tavernier scored from a free kick from the, I'm pretty sure that might have been from a counter attacking play, like I just previously said. That was absolutely amazing on the counter attack, and Marcus Tavernier, okay, for me, you know what I mean. Don't get me wrong, he's not a main starter in the Premier League for Bournemouth. He's not one of those main key players for Bournemouth, is he? But he's definitely a very, very good squad player to have in your team. He's like a similar mould of like a Jacob Murphy, if you like. He's one of those sort of players that he's not going to be a main starter for your side, but you sort of got to watch out for him because he can definitely damage your team as well. So for me, absolutely fantastic free kick. Slotted it right into the bottom corner, wasn't it? Absolutely fantastic, okay. And then, you know what I mean? It was looking like it was going to be Bournemouth's game for the taking. It was looking like Bournemouth were going to go and win the game. However, okay, talking about one free kick to another, Bruno Fernandes, for me, he scored an absolutely superb free kick in the 77th minute, okay? I couldn't believe this. Top bins free kick celebrations. The Manchester United fans, Manchester United players were absolutely going over the moon. They're going berserk. They're buzzing after Bruno Fernandes, scored that free kick. And why wouldn't he be? Because honestly, 3-3 at this point, you got to think to yourself, okay, maybe it is Manchester United's game for the taking. Maybe they can come back and actually get the winner. Who knows? 3-3, you got to think to yourself, it's anybody's game. With like 10 minutes to spare as well, literally right 2 minutes after Bruno Fernandes scored that goal, Manchester United went on another counter attack down the other end of the pitch. It was a bit of a weird one. Like two of the players, I think it was Brian Bremo, Benjamin Sesko, sort of running into each other. Sesko takes the ball off Bremo, crosses it into the box for Matheus Cunha, and he runs on and literally slots it straight past the Bournemouth goalkeeper. For me, it's just one goal after another. What is going on? I couldn't keep up in this game. It was 4-3 to Manchester United in the last 10 minutes to spare. Who else other than Junior Kroupi, the French striker, young international striker for Bournemouth, okay? He goes down on the other end of the pitch, right? Nice little counter-attacking play again for Bournemouth. Like I've said so many times in this game, he goes down the other end of the pitch. I think it started off from the left hand side, anyways. A nice little ball gets like a loader pass gets crossed into him, if you like, into his path, and he just literally slots it straight past Le Mans. Okay, for me, you've got to say to yourself, both defences were absolutely abysmal today. There was goals galore. Both defences were absolutely terrible. It wasn't a good showing for both defences. For me, it's a tricky one to call. Was it more the attacking players on display, or was it more the defensive players had an absolute nightmare? And is it a ones to forget for the defensive players? Let me know in the comments down below because it's a hard one to call. Either way, this is one of the best games I've watched this season. Goals galore. I just can't believe what I've witnessed. And yeah, I think the French striker, the under 21s international striker, I'm pretty sure Junior Kroupi has absolutely crushed Manchester United's dreams of getting into the top four, because if they gone on and win the game, okay, they could have gotten ahead of the likes of Chelsea and other teams in there. I think maybe, was it Liverpool? Are they ahead of Liverpool? Oh yeah, yeah, it's Chelsea and Crystal Palace. Okay, they could have, if they could have won, they could have gone ahead of those two teams. But unfortunately for them, they can't get into the top four in this game week at least. Anyways, and have to wait until next week, okay, to get into the top four. They're currently in sixth, 2 points behind Chelsea in what's it called, fourth. They're level on points with Crystal Palace, to be fair, but I think goal difference is on Crystal Palace's side. So either way, they're going to have to wait until next week. I just want to say, one absolutely fantastic show on display. I think, for both teams' defences, it's sort of just you've got to get it out of the back of your mind for the next game week, and you've got to move on to the next game now, haven't you? But anyways, I think Manchester United can feel a little bit disappointed because, when you look at the shots, they've had 24 shots compared to Bournemouth's 12. They've had 56% possession compared to 44% possession for Bournemouth. You know what I mean? They had so many clear-cut chances to score. Manchester United, didn't they? And they'll feel a little bit sorry for themselves, like they couldn't get 3 points on board. However, there was clear-cut signs, for the attacking players to score you the goals. Because when you think about Manchester United this season and last season, they've struggled to create chances. They've struggled to score the goals. But if they can sort of shut up shop, if you like, in their defensive positions and get that midfield right, if they can get a clear-cut defensive midfielder and, those two midfielders in there, whether that's, Casemiro, Kobbie Mainoo, that whole thing with his brother wearing that t-shirt, free Kobbie Mainoo. I don't even know what to make out about the whole situation with Kobbie Mainoo. He's good enough to be starting that midfield. I just don't get it. Why not? He had that. He's got a little bit of everything, hasn't he, Kobbie Mainoo? For me, he can, he's good defensively, he's good going forward, he's good at controlling the game. I just don't know why Ruben Amorim is not really playing him. For me, will he be loaned out in January? I feel like he's almost guaranteed to be loaned out in January now, isn't he? Kobbie Mainoo. He has to be to sort of progress in his career, whether that's to like even like a Brighton, to a Fulham, to someone like an Aston Villa, to a Newcastle, someone like that. I feel like he needs to get back into like a good run of form, doesn't it? Even if it's abroad, to like an AC Milan or something like that. I don't know. Let me know in the comments down below what you think is going to happen to Kobbie Mainoo. And yeah, let's quickly end with some questions. Okay, how would you feel about Junior Kroupi crushing Manchester United's top four dreams in this game week against Bournemouth? Was it more, the attacking players on display, creating the chances, or was it more defensive problems in the back? Was it more of, Manchester United feeling a bit disappointed with this result? Could they have gone on potentially win the game, considering all the shots they've had, considering all the possession they had as well? What did Bournemouth do? Fantastic to sort of come back and score those equalisers. Bournemouth could have gone and win the game as well when it was 3-2? Could you say to yourself, why couldn't they almost shut up shop and potentially see out the result? Don't get me wrong, they did have like 30 or 40 minutes. They did have like 35 minutes to play, didn't they, in that game, to sort of hold on to that result. And let me know in the comments down below as well, why was it such a free-flowing game in this match, okay, for both teams? It's a bit of a weird one. But yeah, before that, as always, please like, comment and subscribe. It's very much appreciated. It goes a long way to help me build a small community on my channel. Recently just hit 262 subscribers. I just want to say a massive thank you for the recent support on our most recent videos and the likes and the comments on social media as well. Definitely to go unnoticed. And I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.